Hi guys, how are we doing? Today, I'm going to talk about the harsh realities of building an online coaching business. Now, this is off the back of seeing an awful lot of Instagram meta ads from business mentors talking about how easy it is to grow an online business. And I obviously see why they're saying that. They're advertising at the end of the day. They're trying to make sure they can bring people into their business and tell them how easy it is. Everyone can do it. You'll be at 5, 10, 15K per month in no time. Look at all these guys that have done it in 30 days, 60 days, 90-day sprints and join the club. All you got to do is sign your life away and here we go. And like I say, I understand that message and I understand why they would be saying that. However, in reality, I think that's a bit disingenuous because I think it gives people a lot of false expectation of what the reality of the situation is starting an online coaching business. And I think as someone who is a mentor alongside a full-time coach, who has built a multi-six-figure business, who's helped other people do the same, it is definitely doable and it's definitely possible to have relatively quick growth. But I think to sit there and say how easy this is and to give people the false impression that we're going to be sipping pina coladas on the beach, 2-hour workday, AI is going to run our business, we'll be maxed with clients within a month. It really creates this false impression. And when people don't achieve that off the bat, when they aren't successful, they think, am I the problem? What's wrong with me? And that's not quite fair. It'd be like me saying to anyone, and look, we're all coaches, okay? We're all coaches at the end of the day. If I said to you guys, you can achieve your dream physique in 30 days, you'd go, bullshit, absolute bullshit. Yet for some reason, when there's a mentor trying to sell us that with our own businesses, we go, I'm all ears, tell me more. It's just not realistic. Okay, so what I want to do today was talk through the realities of building a business and then give you guys some hope of what that would look like for you. And to really give you an understanding that it absolutely can be done, but it might just take a little bit longer with a little bit more focus on different areas than what the mainstream Instagram and mentor groups are telling you. Ultimately, that's the key here. So what's being promised to you is that it's going to be easy, it's going to be seamless, you're going to have all this spare time, you're going to be raking money in, you're going to be living in Dubai, Bali, Thailand, Marbella, somewhere like that, and you're going to be just time, location, financially independent. And those things are doable for sure. You can build those things. So just to give a reality, I've been full-time for nearly 5 years now. In that time, I built a 6-figure business within 7 months. And then in that time, I've had 40% on average growth year on year. So multi-six figures, doing well. My life does not look like that. I live in the UK. I work about 12 hours a day. I have the financial independence. I have location independence if I wanted it, but time independence is not something that you're going to get. And if you look at any top coach, it's just not realistic. Okay, so we'll dive in a little bit more on that one. What's also being promised is that you're going to be at certain numbers in no time, that you're going to have all this client acquisition. And like I said, when people don't achieve this, they start to feel like they're the problem. But again, if we start to think about as it relates to physique coaching, if you saw other coaches saying you'll achieve your dream physique in 30, 60, 90 days, you're like, look, it's going to take you years. And the same concept needs to apply to your business. But people massively, and you've heard this quote before, people massively overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year and underestimate what they can achieve in 10. People now ask how I built my business. I go, well, it just took me time. You were looking for that quick fix all the time. It just takes a bit longer than you think. And that's what I was going to talk about, the realities now. So reality number one is it's going to take time, okay? It isn't this overnight success. The overnight success comes from you doing all the hard work for multiple years, then all of a sudden people going, oh man, you're an overnight success. We all know that wasn't true, but that's the way it is. And when you look at someone with a good physique, you say, oh man, what's the secret to your success? They're like being consistent for 5, 10 years and not really missing anything. And people don't want to hear that. They go, what drug were you taking? What was the peptide? And that's the problem we've got with business. It's like, oh man, what was your growth hack? Being consistent for a long period of time. And the thing I would look to really press home to you guys is most of the stuff within business is about turning up, being consistent, and acquiring as many skills to build your business as possible. So in terms of like expectations, one of the realities I have to get home to people is we are in a position where we can earn amazing salaries. So let's talk about the standard 10K month, right? People have the 10K months, 120 grand a year. So that's a lot of money. It puts you in the top, 3-4% of earners in the UK. It's a lot of money. So if you were to think about that salary as it relates to the real world, right? So what's that mean? 200,000 US dollars, 250,000 Australian dollars. What would that look like in terms of the hours that you need to work, the time that you need to put in, the professionalism that you need to show in your job? And then think about, are you doing that right now? And in all honesty, most people aren't. Most people are just sat there going, well, they promised me I could just do what I wanted. So I get up when I want, I go to the gym when I want, I don't really spend time making content, I don't treat this like a job. So are you doing those things? Maybe not. So unless you're treating it like a full-time job, don't expect to get that sort of salary off the back of it. You can certainly have some flexibility, but if you are someone who is waking up maybe 8, 9, 10 a.m., hopefully not 10 p.m., going and getting a haircut, shopping, gym during the day, and only working like 4 hours, you're not investing any time into content creation, you're not investing any time into education, you're not investing any time into actually honing your craft, you're going to struggle. Okay, so understand that it's going to take a lot of time and you're going to need to treat it like a full-time job. Typically, I get up at 5 a.m. most days, hence why I look tired. I'm going to bed at 9, 10 o'clock every night, probably working about 12 to 14 hours on some days. Some days work less, sure, but that's kind of an average. And when I say to people, oh, aren't you working hard? I'm like, yeah, but that's also why I've achieved 40% growth every single year. And yes, of course, you can't do that. I haven't got kids. I'm in that position, hopefully in a couple of years. But I understand it's going to take a lot more time than what people are telling you. So when mentors are saying, oh yeah, 4 hours, 3 hours, use AI, all this stuff. It's like they didn't do that. And their clients don't do that. And all the successful coaches don't do that. So maybe look at what people are doing in the success situation and see is like, does that match up? Probably not. So it's going to take a lot of hours, and that's the first thing I'll get across to you guys. It's going to take a lot of skill development. And when I say skills, think about what you're going to need to succeed and just thrive as a business owner, because it's not just one thing. So we're looking at not only the skill of coaching, so can I deliver amazing results? And that's where most people where I started. I've got my formal education, got masters in sports science, worked in professional sport, years of coaching in a leadership role within sales, and also years of coaching within physique development. And I was like, oh, that's all I need. It wasn't. I can tell you that right now. That was not the only skill I needed. Sure, you need to be able to deliver amazing results. There's no point getting people in the business if you can't deliver a result and that's a complete shit show. But that is certainly not the only skill that you need. It's a very important one. It's one that we want to consistently work on, hone, and get better. But that's only one of them. Other skills you've got are marketing skills. Can I market my business effectively? Can I make good content for Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is? Can I sell? And the selling isn't just getting on a sales call and selling your product and getting people's payment details. It's, can I connect with people? Can I understand their pain points? Can I align my product, as in my coaching, with all those things, right? Can I run a business? Can I have professionalism? Can I manage my finances? You can use an accountant, but you still have to have an understanding of how those skills work. Can I write good copy? So how can I connect with people with the words that I speak and the words that I write? Okay. Can I build up not only my skills in my education, but also my communication skills, my soft skills with coaching, my psychology, all those other bits? And quite often people look at me when I say this and they're like, sounds like a lot. I'm like, yeah, but you also want to be a multi-six-figure coach. Going back to what I said earlier, think about that person in the real world who's earning 200, 300, 400, 500 grand a year. They've got so many skills that they've acquired and they're investing into. And if you're not doing that, it's like, oh shit, maybe I need to potentially think about doing that, right? And then we also think about investment. So one thing I've always been very, very big on is learning from someone who's better than me. Need to make sure that's always been like at school, you're learning with people who've got greater knowledge. At university, you're paying to get from knowledge from someone. When you play sport, you're learning from a coach. But suddenly, when we go into the real world, we're like, nah, I can do it on my own. I've got ChatGPT, I've got YouTube, I've got Instagram. I can do it on my own. And in reality, that's never really going to work. Some really driven people can maybe do that, but for most individuals, they can't. Now, paying to learn is a really important tool. I spent in the last year, I spent like 20 grand on education and mentors. This year, I'm probably going to spend 30 grand on education and mentors. And I make that money back multiple times over because I'm learning new skills. I've worked with physique coaches who have learned how to improve my skill as a coach, how to get myself in really good shape, how to learn about PEDs, nutrition, supplementation, training, biomechanics, psychology. I paid for both coaches, I paid for mentors, I paid for seminars, I paid for books, and you're always looking to learn. As it went to business, I wasn't where I wanted to be. I didn't know how to manage a business. I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to market myself. I worked in sales for 12 years, so that was okay. But in terms of the actual rest of the business, I didn't have a clue. Right? So I paid to learn. Worked with a mentor for worked with one mentor for 6 months, another mentor for 18 months. I'm currently working with another mentor. And I've always learned more skills along the way. And I'll probably continue to work with someone until I retire because I'm always learning. And yet you speak to people, they're like, nah, I'm going to try and do it on my own. I'm like, why is that going to work? Right? It's not realistic to expect that. Now, that's not me trying to sell my services. But when I think about the realities of building a business, it's like you need to learn from someone who's better than you. Otherwise, it might take 10 times the amount of time. And have you got 10 times the amount of time to lose? I don't. Right? So I had a conversation with someone the other day, and they mentioned about, oh yeah, I think I'm just going to coach myself for a bit, 6 months or something. And I was like, right, have you grown your business in the last 6 to 12 months? They're like, no. I'm like, so why would you expect to grow it on your own in 6 months? And to which they replied, I don't really know. And I was like, okay, well, just have a think on that. Well, that's not a hard sell. That's just me trying to open up your thought process to that reality of going, I just don't think that's a realistic place for you to sit. Now, for a lot of people, and I get this because I felt the same way, it's a bit embarrassing to put your hand up and say, you know what, I don't actually know how to do this. But to me, it's more embarrassing to be like, I'm going to stay where I am right now for another 6, 12 months, potentially longer, and not make any progress. Ultimately, anything that we learn in life, it's probably going to require some cost, whether that's sweat equity, where I need to work really hard at this thing, or I need to exchange finances to get better at this thing. There's no kind of right or wrong way, but you are going to need to probably invest in that situation, even if it's just getting some books, some courses. But in reality, one of the things that people struggle with the most, I do as well. I worked in the corporate world for a long time, is accountability. It's why people have managers, why people have business partners. That's why people have kind of set up on that. And as a self-employed coach, if you haven't got accountability only to yourself, you know you're going to put off work, right? It's the old Eisenhower matrix. We'll often get caught up doing the urgent non-important stuff and ignore the non-urgent important stuff. Things like making a YouTube video, things like making a lead magnet, things like doing the stuff that's going to push the business forward. We always ignore that. Working with someone's going to help you do that. So I think people are very quick to avoid that investment. And that's one of the realities is it's going to cost you money to get better. But instead of viewing it like an outlay or some negativity associated with it, that's the thing that's going to leapfrog your business. So I say every single year I've been in business, I've grown by 40%. And every single year I've increased how much I spend on education by a significant amount. And it wouldn't surprise me if next year it was 40 grand on education. I'm spending 15 grand a year on mentors essentially at this point in time. So it's kind of going, is that worth it? You're like, well, absolutely, because it's continuing to grow like that. But people are scared to spend that outlay. It's like, okay, if it's not going to grow, how are you going to do that? Now, the other reality is the time component. As I mentioned at the start, people are thinking 30, 60, 90-day sprints. And like, okay, well, it took me 7 months and I started at a good position, right, from a knowledge base, my skill set. I was in a corporate world. I had Physique Collective, one way of the business, so I had a platform, and it still took me 7 months of posting every single day, being there every single day, to get enough where I felt comfortable of taking that leap and still taking a pay cut, right? And then it took me, it took me another couple of years to kind of reach my financial targets, and I'm nearly 5 years on, and I'm still not quite where I'd want to be. And obviously that goalpost keeps changing. You keep thinking I want to earn more money, all that sort of stuff. Yes, absolutely. But when you have a situation whereby it's going to take a long time, and you think it's going to take you a short amount of time, you're always at this gap, right? And if you don't get there, you end up running into what I call the void, where you sort of think, am I good enough? Other coaches are doing better than me. It's a struggle. And it's like in physique development. Maybe you start to get some gains, you get the newbie gains out of the way, and then you realise, fuck me, it's going to take a lot of time. And that's why a lot of people quit. I mean, I do jiu-jitsu. I hear about people get to blue belt and they stop because they realise, like, they got to blue belt, how hard it's going to be. Can't relate, white belt, but one of those things. Same for in business. There's going to be a point which it gets really fucking hard and people stop. And then maybe it's after they've got a couple of clients, maybe they're struggling to get any clients. There's always a point at which people give up. And maybe it's survivorship bias, maybe it's just me looking back and going, well, I pushed through and I made it. But every single coach that's made it has gone through that point. And I think the reality of the situation is you're going to struggle. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. If it was easy, every fucker would have it. And you're gonna find times where you're just probably not going to get the result you want. And that's, instead of looking at as a failing on your part, you just go, I haven't got the skills at this point. Maybe I just need to have more time equity. I can't just expect this growth to be going the way I want. And also, the way I look at it is very much, the harder it is, the less likely people are to follow me. So if it is really hard to grow my business, and it is going to take time, and it is going to be a lot of patience, and it is going to be more skill acquisition, it's like good, because then I can make it where other people have failed, because I'm willing to do the work and to take the punches and to take the losses. But on the other side is like success. And that's kind of seemingly how it's worked for me over time. It's like kind of getting through that void by just pushing on. But this is nothing people don't speak about, is that is a harsh reality of building your business. It's gonna be really tough at times. It's gonna be lonely. It's gonna be difficult. You're gonna need to grind and see no reward. And I don't know if you've seen that picture, it's a little graphic of two people digging with their pickaxe, and one guy's got that close to this like underground vault of jewels, and he stops and turns around. Where there's another guy who's going on really, really like excitedly, and he's getting there, and he's probably going to make it. And it's like, just don't quit. And so often I'll see coaches, they'll give it a go for 3 months or 6 months, and they'll just give up. And my advice to people is, look, just give this kind of 18 months to 2 years of doing everything. Make sure you're posting every day, working on skills of content creation, working on skills as a coach, constantly marketing yourself, constantly investing in yourself, and then get the results after that. And maybe it takes longer, but that's fine. Like, it's all a cool story for you. And I've no doubt if people consistently try and get better, because it's not as good. It's not good enough to just post and to just like coach. It's like we want to try and get better. So, like you would in the gym, you don't just do the same weights all the time. You do what you did, film your workouts, assess, am I getting better? Then try and improve. It's the same for building a business. What can I do better? What can I do better? What can I do better? Constant skill acquisition. And if you do that, guess what? You're probably going to be successful. But that's, again, the harsh reality is people don't want to talk about. But that is the truth. So ultimately, guys, the point I'm trying to make here is not discourage anyone. It's actually to try and encourage you about what is realistic and what can be done. So look, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to grow a business, but it's absolutely going to be worth it. And look at the guys who have achieved success. They're the ones that stuck around, consistently got better, did it for a long period of time. There's very few overnight successes in this game, unless you start off with someone who's an influencer, have 100,000 followers to start with. It's unlikely that's going to be the case. And if someone is an overnight success, I bet you they're actually not, and they just put in more work than you and I, which is fine. Like they achieve success from that, which is cool. You're going to need to focus on skill acquisition. You need to focus on getting good as a coach. You need to focus on content creation, on all that other bits. It's going to be hard. It's going to take time. You're going to have periods of time you're going to want to give up. But if you don't give up and you continue to push through, you will make it. That's going to be the case. Now, shameless plug. This is something I teach on the Strong Coaching Academy. I've got hundreds of guys in the academy. Well, I say hundreds, 150 guys in the academy now. All willing to learn, all learning, all improving their business, all firing up. And for $50 a month, it's an absolute steal, and that will be the lowest the price ever is. Anyone that comes in, it will stick at that price forever. So you can click the link in the show notes and you can take it through and learn everything to grow your business, from the actual business side of things, from the mindset, from the actual coaching skill. And we do bi-weekly calls going through everything, regular Q&As with me, who's done all this stuff, and I teach guys how to do it as well. And obviously I do offer mentoring, but have very few spaces available. If you do want one, message me, but by the time you get this, my doors may be closed. Now, I have a list of sponsors, which I won't go through, but they are in the show notes as well. So check them out. They're awesome. And guys, really hope you enjoyed this video. Like I say, never meant to be a negative, only a positive, but just want to be a voice of realism within this space that's telling you it's super easy. It's not, but it absolutely is worth it. So I'll catch you in the next video if you're watching this on YouTube, or as a podcast if you're hearing me in your ears, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, guys.